Ever been listening to your favorite podcast and think, hey, I want to start my own? Then you need Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, everyone's favorite word free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. BBWs definitely deserved better. Onaya Underwood is a 25-year-old plus-size diner waitress by night and a caretaker to her wheelchair-bound grandfather by day. Along with being an online college student, she never complains. It's the hand that she was dealt, so she simply gets in where she fits in. That was until Neville Reaper Farrow crashes into her life, giving her a loud wake-up call. Neville Farrow is the product of a mothered father and a drug addict overdosed mother that led him to be an angry, uncontrollable ward of the state. He was written off as a lost cause until he was adopted. That's when his true life's purpose was revealed. Never knowing true love from the opposite sex, his interaction with the beautiful Onaya sparked something anew within him. Everyone isn't happy about their connection. Will it be their downfall or will we go stronger as one? Fallon Bluffington is a 25-year-old plus size dental assistant. She was left to fend for herself after the death of her older brother. She has learned to depend on only herself. With Onaya as her best friend, she's content with the life that she has built for herself until she meets Kendrence Farrow and realized that something has been missing in her world. Kendrence Farrow is a quiet man who's accustomed to the simple things in life, despite being adopted into money. After a heartbreak that he didn't think he would recover from, he opens his heart and gets more than he bargained for. As their lives begin to settle as one, a blast from his past reveals a secret that may cause him to lose the best thing that has ever happened to him. When a BBW captures the heart of a real one, there's nothing else that matters. Leap into the tantalizing pages of this standalone novel to find out what goes down when the heart of a real one is captured by a BBW. My God, this synopsis. Look at me trying to throw shade and can't even talk. It's so long and really could have been cut short because that's like really the book in the synopsis, and that's all you need to know. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and we are here to discuss a BBW captured the heart of a real one. And I was severely disappointed. In the grand scheme of things, as a BBW book, I was let down. Um, let's get into it. So we have Onaya, who is our main character of the story. Um, she is obviously a BBW who is like dark skinned, the typical what you would assume to not be attractive. And she's working at a diner at night. She works the 11 to 7 shift, and then as soon as she gets off, she's going home to take care of her grandfather who is in a wheelchair. And so one night while she's working, a guy comes in and he's not typically attracted to BBWs. He is attracted to specifically light skinned women who are skinny or slim thick with long hair and light eyes, so different color eyes. And I was like, as soon as I read that, I rolled my eyes so hard because I was like, really? This is like real specific. Um, but of course, when he sees her, it's just like, oh, this is something I've never, or someone, I should say, not something, someone I have never been attracted to. Because, those are the girls that he usually goes for, and she is the complete opposite of that. But she's beautiful to him. He likes what he sees. But her boss comes from the back and says something slick out his mouth, and she doesn't say anything. And so he's even more like disgusted with himself for being attracted to her because he also doesn't like weak women. So when she comes over to his table, he says, "Where your spine? No, where your backbone at?" or something like that. And she's like, "What? Because I didn't go all ghetto on him, all hood. You assume that I don't have a backbone?" And I'm like, "We just, oh, it's just stereotypes left and right, right out the gate, huh?" And I was like, "You to put somebody in their place is not being ghetto or being hood, but." She is known for just letting things go and not sticking up for herself. So it's like, yeah, Onaya, where's your backbone at? But because she got him together and I guess went all hood on him, uh he's more like the attraction came back. I'm just like, what the hell is this? But anyway, so she doesn't go anywhere, she doesn't do anything, and she has a best friend Fallon who is also a BBW. I told my friend, like, honestly, my opinion of this book is it was given Fat Girls, the movie with Monique. That's honestly what this book is, and it's so annoying. Um, in the grand scheme of, I don't feel good about myself unless a man is attracted to me. And then it seemed like as soon as she got a man in her life, like things started to be better. She started to want more out of life, and it's just like, and anyway, let's get to that. So her and the guy, his name is Neville, and Neville was adopted into this wealthy family, and in the family they are assassins, like the whole family. They take jobs, set up jobs, whatever. Um, so while he and Onaya were getting to know each other, it had only been like either a couple days or a couple weeks. And so they had grown closer, and then he had to go pick up a job. But of course, you can't tell nobody that you out here killing niggas. So he left his phone and like everything like that, besides his work phone, and he had to go to, was it Europe? I believe it was Europe. And so she's sad and depressed. I'm like, how are you sad and depressed? Like walking around with her head hanging down and wondering who's loving you. Because it's like, my girl, you don't even know him like that. For you to be depressed and walking around, you not speaking, and everybody just sees you and just like, oh, you poor thing. You don't know him like that for you to be feeling this way. And then one day she decides that she's just going to um be better, like pick herself up. She's gonna stand up. She's gonna stand up. And whether he comes back or not, she's gonna do her. So she's not gonna depend on a man. And it's just like, you should have been living that way anyway. And her grandfather, who she calls Pawpaw, he told her that anyway. It's just like, a man should make you happy. Like, you should make yourself happy. And if one just happens to come along, then yeah, you can enjoy him. And that was another thing. She was real reliant on her grandfather, like using him as an excuse for her not to do anything. And he had to tell her, like, okay, yeah, I'm in this wheelchair, but I'm still alive, honey. Like, I'm still living. And so even the grandfather like starts to go out, um, using what's that transportation bus that disabled people can use to get to places. He's like, look, if you ain't gonna go out, I'm finna go out. Like, I can still use my body, honey. So you gonna be sad by your damn self. But oh, I forgot. Fallon is dating Nivelle's brother, Kendritz. Is it Kendritz? It's Kendrinch. I always just want to say Grinch when I see it, so I'm just gonna call him Ken. Um, So her and Ken are dating. Their relationship is basically good throughout the whole book. They just have one little mishap and it's easily resolved. But Onaya has a half sister who has a terrible name. Um, but the sister's life goal is to ruin Onaya's life. Like she comes everywhere Onaya is just to say some horrible, lame shit about her being fat and she'll want to kill herself and she doesn't deserve to be alive. And she was trying to sink her teeth into um what did I call it? Neville. I didn't want to say Neville or Neville. Let's go with Neville. I like Neville better. Um, she wanted him, but then when she realizes that he's going with her sister, like she can't believe it, like, ugh, he would choose her over me. It's like, yeah, girl, just because you done got all this plat, and that was another thing. It's like who you look like now ain't even your natural self. You had to pay for that. Like, of course, she's been naturally skinny, but it's like, girl, you paid to get your face done. You have this weave in your hair. You get wraps in your body like every other week. Like there's an upkeep for you to look the way that you do, and she's just being her natural self, and she can't stand it. But their story as sisters is, um, Onaya, her mother, I think her name was Onisha. Onisha was sleeping, with their father. And she did not know that he was married. So when she found out he was married, she stopped messing with him. It's like, you're married. I don't want nothing to do with you. It's just going to be about our daughter. And he told her, like, I'm not giving you no money unless you sleep with me. So she had to sleep with him to get money for their child. And then when his wife found out about Onisha, she calls her one day and says, you nothing but a home wrecker. He's married, whoop de whoop, whatever. So she hops in the car, and the half sister, like, jumped in the trunk so she could go along for the ride to see what had her mama so upset and see where she goes. And she pulls up to Onisha's house, and Onaya is standing right behind her, and they're having this back and forth. And the wife shoots Onisha and kills her, and then turns the gun on herself and shoots herself. Now, they were both real young at the time, so neither one of the girls knew for sure like everything that was going on, but they literally watched both of their mothers die in front of them. And instead of the father taking Onaya in, he shuns her and wants to have nothing to do with her, and like shames her mama, saying it's her fault that his wife is dead. And he put all of that into the half sister's head. So of course that's another reason why she can't stand on Naya, because it's like, you are the reason that my mother is dead. And it's like, no, honey, your mother is the reason your mother is dead. Because even after she shot that lady, even if she didn't kill herself, your mama would have been in jail. It's like she could have easily divorced that man and went on with her life, or she could have stayed and stuck it out. But calling that woman and showing up to her house and shooting her and then shooting herself, none of that is your half sister's fault. And then I don't understand why you not upset at your father either. Because this man has a lot of money, but as long as he spoils her, she basically just gets to do whatever she wants. Um, and I also want to add, while she was going through her little depression about Neville leaving and not saying anything to her, she starts to quote unquote lose weight. And I said, see, I hate this. Like, why can't a BBW just not be a BBW? Because it's like, and as soon as she started losing the weight, everybody started paying attention to her. Oh, she's so sexy. She's so fine. And she's loving all the attention. But it's like, so I feel like you're just reinforcing the fact that beautiful women cannot be big. I mean, big women cannot be beautiful, just being themselves. And so then when he finally comes back, it's to her and Fallon being at the club, and they get a phone call from somebody like, your girl up here wilding, she at this club or whatever. And when he gets there, he sees her dancing on a guy. So of course he got to act the fool because he's like, don't try to act like you single because you're not. And she's like, I ain't heard from you in 3 weeks. I ain't heard from you in a month. And then I barely started dating you. So really, I kind of am single because you was nowhere to be found. And he's like, man, stop playing with me. You ain't single. So the girls leave from the club or the bar and go to Fallon's house. Oh, I forgot. Fallon has an ex boyfriend who popped up to her place while Ken was there, and he told her to come to the door because he had answered her door, and she's like, what are you doing here? I told you it was over with, and my man don't appreciate you popping up. And he like, yo man, bitch out. And as soon as he said bitch, Ken knocked him out and told her, I'm moving you out of here because I don't like the fact where you stay. Excuse me. He tried to do something to you, so we not having that. So it's just like, damn, okay. So she moved into like this beautiful condo gated community, and that's where they go. And so, but of course, like Ken has like the code to get in the gate, and he has a key to the house. So it's like it's nothing for us to follow y'all. Even though he does knock on the door, he doesn't just walk in. He who was that? Neville was like, I know you got a key. And Kim was like, of course, but I want her to feel like she has her privacy for now anyway. Um, so he follows her there, and Onaya, like, she really giving him a hard time. Like, I'm not just gonna jump back into this shit with you because I literally have not heard from you. But I'm also like, girl, kind of why do you care? Because with your newfound quote unquote beauty and people, wanting your attention, you could have been found somebody else and said, nigga, you snooze, you lose. I ain't know if you was dead or anything. Ain't heard from you. I called you. Nothing. Ain't heard nothing. So I am single. But of course they make up, and it was just a misunderstanding. And it's been like 3 months or something like that. And I think like they still hadn't had sex. It's just like they really given the relationship time to, what am I trying to say? Like get into it, get to know each other and all that type of stuff. And then he introduces her to his family as well as Ken does. And then they have another brother who has the half sister come over as well. And while she being nosy, she hears the brothers talking because they done went outside to smoke. And he like, man, she not pulling the wool over my eyes. I know that bitch shiesty. While she was drunk, she was running her mouth, saying she had plans to do this, this, and that. So it's just like, I'm just keeping the bitch close, but she ain't fooling me because Neville like, uh, get this bitch up out of here. Why is she at our parents' house? All this type of shit. And so when she hears that, she leaves and she goes on the run. And she finds out that the family, like, they're hitmen. So she puts out a hit on Onaya. And when Neville and Ken find out, of course they keep both of the ladies close, like they watching them 24/7. Um and the half sister had been doing a whole bunch of other shit. Like she fucked up the car that she was driving, but Neville just bought her a new car. Um and come to find out, she was the one that actually hit her grandfather and tried to kill him, to take him away from Onaya so she wouldn't have anybody. And it's just like anything bad that had happened in Onaya's life, basically the half sister was behind it, and she just was not gonna stop. Um, And then she got the hit put out on her, and then she runs away, like she's hiding in Mexico because she doesn't want to be like found out or be the culprit, and she's not gonna basically come back until the job is over. Um, and then her dad calls her like, "Girl, what the fuck did you do? Didn't I tell you to stay away from that fam?" Because she had went to New York. I forgot about that. She went to New York to visit her dad because they don't stay in the same state. Um, and tell him, basically, I had this guy first, but of course, Onaya being her typical self, she had to take him away from me. And so the dad is like, "What's the guy's name?" And as soon as she says the name, he choke on his liquor and say, "Don't even worry about it. Find you somebody else. Leave that family alone. Let bygones be bygones. Like, do not mess with that family. Let it go." So she says, "Sure," but of course she doesn't. And then she does this. So, when they wouldn't take the hit, of course, the contract goes to somebody else who's willing to take it. And they found out who that guy was and they killed him. But they couldn't rest for a minute because it's like, just because they got rid of that person doesn't mean somebody's not going to pick it up until she is killed. And so that's when the family like set both of them down, Fallon and Onaya, to tell them like, this is our family, this is what we do. And Onaya was like, "Well, if you're telling us that, that means one of us is in danger. So which one of us is it?" And that's when they told her it was her. And she knew exactly who it was. She was like, "It can only be either her sister, the manager," which I don't understand. Even though her and her manager had like a little back and forth, there's no reason for him to put a hit out on her. Her manager, um, or her father. And it's just like, you don't communicate with that man. He shouldn't have no reason to want you dead after all this time, because it's been years at this point. And so, oh yeah, she got fired from the diner because the manager wanted her, but of course she didn't want him. It's just like, even without me having my fly ass boyfriend, it was never going to be you. So I don't know why you're so upset with me and why you trying to play me. But he fired her, and he actually like choked her out because they was going back and forth in the office because he was lying, talking about she was stealing and all that type of shit when she's basically the best employee there. Um, but my thing is, my problem with this book is the writing, like how it's written, and editors. Like, black authors, we need editors. Please get editors, because the way things are written, like what's supposed to be a quote and then you just have dashes here to say like something else is going on in the scene. It's like, okay, that's what commas are for. And you could start a completely different sentence here, and it just went too fast. And like I said, I hate the way the BBWs are portrayed, specifically Onaya, because it's just like she started losing more weight. So it's like, so is she no longer a BBW? Like, what is this? Because there's classifications of a BBW, and I just want to be clear. And I felt like the author, took her down to the what's acceptable, quote unquote, BBWs. Like what are they called? The pear shapes. Like they got the big boobs, but still like kind of not a flat stomach, but like a flat stomach compared to BBWs with the butt and the hips and the thighs. So it's just like, it's, I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, I guess she turned her into that instead of like an apple shaped woman who is still beautiful and who can still pull any man that she wants. Like, I don't know. I just feel like she just fell right into the trope of, you can only be beautiful if you look like this, and it did upset me. But the way the story ends, Ken's ex-girlfriend shows up one day to tell him that he has a 6-year-old son. And at first he doesn't believe her, but of course, here's they get the DNA test, and the child's mother is dying, so that's why she finally told him, it's like, I need him to stay with you now. I'm going into hospice, and that's where I'm going to spend the rest of my days. So, and it wasn't even really a conflict in their relationship because there's nothing to be upset about. If this child happened 6 years before you, Fallon, there's no way you could be upset about it. And she wasn't upset upset at all. Um, she really just fell right in line and was like, okay, so you got a son, and I'm the stepmama now, like, and this is our life. And Kim proposed. Of course, she said yes. And Onaya found out she was pregnant, and then Neville proposed to her. So, they're all living happily ever after, married with the children. And real quick, I want to add, because I saw, I was on Twitter. I think they call it book book Twitter, but they book TWT is that like the hashtag. Anyway, they said an epilogue is so important to a story. And I'm like, is it? Because most romance novels, it's like the whole book is leading up to them finally getting together. Then the last chapter is they finally are together, and then the epilogue is, oh, we're married with babies. That's all the epilogue is, and you can add that into the story. So the epilogue isn't really important. But yeah, that's all I got for this episode. Is really not a lot because the story, it was over with like very quickly. And oh, the sister showed up because Onaya had like a skincare line that she was launching, and the half sister showed up there with a gun, basically trying to have a repeat of history. And but they already knew that though. Like the father had finally reached out to Onaya and told her, this is what your sister is doing, and this is where she'll be. So she was never going to have a chance to shoot Onaya. Like she pulled the trigger and there were no bullets in her gun, and she was arrested for all the other shit that she had previously done. And that was the end of that. So yeah, it was kind of like a major letdown because I want better representation for the BBWs. And I'm going to fall back in line with the authors that I love to read because I want to say what these last 3 episodes I haven't liked. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't like, but I was kind of disappointed with the stories that I've read. And I hope nobody feels disrespected and can just take the constructive criticism I hope that I'm giving, because like I said, I don't mean any disrespect, but these stories could be better. And also, because who it was Bianca. I want to give respect to Bianca because she said something about people just giving books 1 stars and say that they hated it and then not adding what they feel like could be better so the author can take that and work on it. So I hope when I say I don't like something and I explain why I don't like it, it's clear and not me just shitting on the book for the whole episode. So it's like the story wasn't completely um like not entertaining because there were a few parts that I laughed, but then there were also like there was one transphobic part in the book that could have been completely not put in there. But some people, they're not gonna feel the way you feel and they just don't care about your feelings and how you feel about subjects. But yeah, that transphobic moment I was not here for it. Even if they was shitting on a half sister, you could have said something else. But yeah, that's all I got. If you guys want to check it out, it's called BBW. Okay, another thing is, I guess I am just shitting all over this because at the ending, because another author that I love does this same thing. Have they have to include the title of the book in the book somehow, and it was like the last few pages where it says um let me see if I can find it or if I returned the book back already. Because if you don't know, I think I say it all the time. I get my books from Amazon Kindle and the Kindle Unlimited series. But anyway, where is it? Um, so it just says this BBW captured the heart of a real one, and then like this heart has been captured by a real BBW, and it's just like, so you really just said it again and said it again, and even in the synopsis, it's like they flip. Anyway, go check out the book. Give her a chance. Read some of her other stories that might be better than this one. Um, and support Black authors. That has always been my main goal since I started my podcast. Support Black authors, give them a chance, because someone might love this story and say, "Girl, you tripping? You don't know what the hell you talking about." Give Black authors a chance and read and give them good reviews or bad. Just read and support them. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.